No witty hooks, no catchy taglines. It's time to do the work and get the RBZ back up and running again. Guys, a couple of weeks have gone by and I have been so extremely bogged down with work that I haven't been able to do anything to the RBZ. That is all gonna change today because this weekend, man, I wanna get the Z up and running. I actually kinda need to. There's been some things that have happened, man. The number one thing that's happened that's been kinda significant, the driveway is a little more empty, man. I sold the truck. I had to sell the truck. Life happens. You don't plan on certain things, so I sold the truck, no problem. That's the wife's van. She's been giving me rides every day to work, which has been great, but I need to get the Z or my scooter. I need to start getting to work. What are we working on today, man? We are working on the fuel system. We are gonna get it done. We're gonna get it up. We're gonna get the car running, and we are gonna go do some driving. Let me show you what I've already done, and let me show you where we're going, and let's just freaking knock it out. Right here, you can see I've already torn out all the old fuel lines. The hard lines that go up under the car. Here's the lines that came up over the back of the engine. Now, this previously had heat wrap on it. I actually put heat wrap all the way down on the hard lines underneath the car because this part was still close to the exhaust. It did have heat shielding on it, just like that, so it was still covered by heat shielding from the exhaust. If you're not gonna go replace your lines, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and put some extra heat shielding so that everything's kind of covered as close to the exhaust. All this other stuff is ripped out from underneath the car. Everything is prepped and ready to go. The engine is ready, man. We need to get the new rail in. If you're just now tuning in for the first time and you're curious why there's no fuel rail in the car or why I'm even upgrading the fuel, it's because when we had the GTR in here, his fuel rail was bad. I had a long-term plan to upgrade mine in the process, so I sacrificed mine to give it to his. Yeah, I mean, I had to take my car down. It's really not that big of a deal. I don't need my car every day. It really is a project car. Despite what people say or what people think, it's not meant to be a garage queen. It's a process, right? It's a process, and the car's just not done. And I'm not in a rush to build it. So when you're not in a rush and the car's not done, it sits in the garage for a long time. That is what it is, man. And eventually might even become my daily driver, which I'm not totally cool with. And the reason why is it's not that I don't want to daily drive my Z. I'm one of those people that I firmly believe you don't wear your running shoes to church. You know what I'm saying? Just like you have different shoes for different things in life, different cars for different things in life. If I was to commute every single day in the car, like my project car, then when it came time for those days when I just wanted to go out and enjoy it, it loses its specialness. You understand what I'm saying? It's like candy. If you had candy every day, the times when you did, it wouldn't really matter as much. Let me go ahead and take everything off of the shelf over here. I'm gonna lay it out on the ground over here so we can see what was in the car, what we're putting in the car, and then we'll start knocking it out. Here are all the goodies that we are gonna be putting in. Now, this is some nice braided high pressure fuel line. This is already good to go for E85. Now, everything I've bought is already good to go for E85. While I have no plans on running E85 at this time, it never hurts to go ahead and be ready to do so. I have 2 spools of 20 feet high pressure fuel line just so we have exactly what we need to get from the back of the car to the front and have a little bit extra to do things even now and in the future. Inside this box I have all kinds of different 6AN fittings, etc., etc. Now this fitting we're going to talk about a little bit more in just a second. It's got the Radium Engineering fuel rail, which is meant to hold stock style top feed injectors for the RB. Also this fuel pressure gauge that will be mounted to the fuel rail itself, so we'll be able to see what's going on in the engine bay in real time. Set of Deutschwerks 800cc injectors, top feed, an Aeromotive inline fuel filter, and a Tomei fuel pressure regulator. It's got a lot of good stuff. Again, we're gonna do it all in very professional, very good 6AN fittings. Now, this right here is a tube adapter. Now, I bought an extra one, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually experiment together. What it's designed to do to mount to the hard line itself, to turn the hard line into a 6AN fittings. A lot of times you'll see guys that start putting this kind of stuff in their car, and then when it comes to connecting to the actual hard line on the fuel pump itself, they just put the hose on and then they freaking hose clamp it. We're not gonna do that, man. I got an extra one. We're going to use this hard line that's out of the car. We're going to experiment. We're going to make sure we know what we're doing before we start doing it on the fuel tank itself. And yeah, let's do that right now. The 6AN fitting is now installed, man, on the hardline, and it looks freaking terrific, dude. It's not moving. It's super solid, super stable. It's exactly how it needs to be. I think I first saw this type of thing on Mighty Car Mods, and I thought, man, that is incredible. Great way to keep it an AN system everywhere. I just need to repeat that 2 more times over here inside the trunk, and you can see one of those connections is underneath the body, so impossible. The other one's right here, too easy, but I don't want to go using my Dremel and cutting and making sparks while this is here. So I'm going to remove this whole assembly and we're going to work on it on the ground. I'm going to get it all assembled and I'll show you when it's ready to go back in. Man, I'm excited how this turned out. Check this out, dude. Oh yeah. So now we have actual 6AN fittings onto the hard lines that are coming out of the fuel. Super sealed, super tight, everything's good to go. Great, great stuff. Let's build some hose ends. Our next set of fittings are way more straightforward. These are just gonna be some straight fittings that will connect onto the fuel pump. They just go on the end of these lines. If you actually take this fitting and separate the 2 parts, you end up with one that's just a cap. Now this will just slide right onto the tube and you put it as far deep as it can go. And then this piece actually just screws right into the end of it, and this is designed to start going inside the tubing that you're using and eventually just start spreading it out so it squishes in between this and this. Super simple installation, really nothing to it. So let me get these 2 hose ends done, get them mocked up to the actual fuel pump assembly, get the fuel pump assembly back in the car, and then we'll meet up together once the lines are underneath the car and we're starting to tack them on our way to the front of the engine. So much easier to make than those big mamma jammas we did for the oil separation because I can actually use socket tools, so fantastic. Halfway there. Be right back. I've talked several times about the creepies and the crawlies that come in here. Check this out. Bruh. Oh, he's dying though. He must have got in the spray, but look. He's freaking huge, man. And he's a small one. Good riddance. I'm so glad you're dying. That looks so sick, man. Yeah, buddy. Let's get it tacked down. Installed nice and neat. Had to bend this up just slightly in order to get this actually underneath it. Really tight squeeze getting this whole assembly in. And then it also kind of gave me some room to get everything tightened up and everything like that. Having the hoses on beforehand actually proved to not be good just because this assembly needed to go straight down in. So yeah, I had to disconnect it, but it's all good now. Everything's rigged up here. We got all the lines running out. I need to tack them all the way from the back of the car to the front of the car using these, I guess you could call them P-clamps. So I'm gonna be tacking the lines up against the frame rail all the way to the front of the car. To do that, I got some self-tapping in stainless steel just to make sure we don't have any rusting issues down the road. Once I get into this vicinity down here where the frame rail and the engine bay starts, that's where we're going to pause because that's where I want to go ahead and install our inline filter. Underneath the car, right where I need to do oil changes or whatever else, where we used to have our fuel filter, that is actually where our fuel pressure regulator will go. So one thing at a time, let me get these lines in and we'll meet back up in the front of the car. Well, the battery of my drill died as I was trying to put all the brackets underneath the car, so I'm kind of stuck. And while I'm waiting for the battery to charge, I thought, you know, better than just sitting around and doing nothing and eating chips, even though I do have some Tim's today and I'd really like to eat some chips, but we're gonna go ahead and get the fuel rail together. This is the fuel rail that I ended up getting. It's from Radium Engineering. It's designed for stock style top feed injectors. It has several different ports on it. It has the open end here, an open end on this end, a big port here in the middle, and then a smaller port here in the side. The smaller port is specifically designed if you want to have a gauge. And when you order the fuel rail, you actually have to order all the different things that you want for it. You could decide what size fittings, what type of fittings, whether you want a gauge, if you want a dampener, etc., etc. I almost got a dampener for this port right here. I decided not to go ahead and do that. The way our oil catch can lines are ran, they really kind of butt up against the back side of the fuel rail here, so we're not able to put a fitting on the end. We're going to go ahead and utilize this one in the middle, and we're going to clog that one up, or clog it. We're going to plug that one up. I'm going to go ahead and get everything together for the rail, and yeah, should be easy peasy. Too easy. Everything's installed, everything screws in, fits really, really well. Got the fuel pressure gauge installed on the rail itself, and that's going to look super, super sick. It's going to sit right about like that, so you'll be able to just kind of look down at the engine and see the fuel pressure going on right there at the rail, which is pretty sweet, pretty sick, pretty fine. So rail is done, battery's charging, chips are calling me. I think I'm just gonna take a break, eat some chips, and yeah, collect my thoughts. It's really coming along really well, and I'm pretty stoked about it all. So if you look down the frame rail, you can see the fuel lines are now the lighting wants to be wonky, but if we come up into this area here, you can now see the last connection there. We got the fuel filter here, and I'm actually using existing holes and just other brackets that I've found in my stuff. And I also moved the oil pressure sensor down here instead of up on the frame rail, so it kind of takes it out of the bay. Connections all made, everything's looking good to go. That is the return line that will run up to the fuel pressure regulator, and we now need to run the filter to the rail. But in order to get a good idea of where we go from here, I'm going to go ahead and mock the rail up without the injectors. And yeah, we'll start looking at the angle and the routing of the lines that we want to run. Fuel rail is in, and it looks freaking sick, dude. It comes with these really cool isolators. At first I was kind of leery about them because they look like cardboard, and there's also like a washer that's just under the head of this bolt. That is actually heat isolation material, so it keeps all the heat from dissipating through the engine into the rail. So it's going to get ambient heat, but it won't get direct heat into the rail itself, so it isolates it, which is really, really freaking cool, man. I really like that a lot. Oh, that's sexy as heck. So I got these two 90-degree turns. I'm gonna go ahead and put one right here at the front of the engine, just like that, and it's gonna dip straight down, and then it's gonna go and it's gonna run right to the fuel filter right there, so that is an easy connection. Now originally, this other 90 degrees was gonna tee off here and go forward, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm actually gonna tee off and go backward. I'm gonna loop it right through an opening here, and then right here where our fuel filter was is where our Tomei fuel pressure regulator is gonna be. And I'm just, I'm painting the bracket really quick, but this guy is actually going to sit right about like here, and the opening for the inlet is right there. So if it curves back, it'll run right into the inlet perfectly, and then it will dump right out the bottom to the line that's right here. So that's magically delicious, man. So you know what I'm about to do. I'm gonna do all the lines, get all the ends made, get all the lines together. Guys, we're right there. But I won't put all the injectors and all that stuff together until I come back with you. So yeah, man, we're so close. This is freaking great. On second thought, now that we've got everything ready and everything set and everything go, yeah, might as well not take a chance of the injectors just fitting slightly odd. So we're gonna get the injectors in. I'm gonna get them mounted to the rail, and then we're gonna go ahead and get them mounted to the engine and wired up. Fuel rail is now in place with injectors. All the injectors are connected up, man. Everything is looking funky fine and fresh, man. And I've already mounted the fuel pressure regulator bracket and mounted the fittings onto the fuel pressure regulator. So this will sit just like that, right on top there. I need to build some lines. I got the end of this one to build, I've got the small one to build from here to there, and I've got the one to build from here down to our things. After I get those 3 lines, yeah, man, we should have closed our system by then. I'm back. I'm a little extra sweaty because I just helped my boys move some furniture, but guys, it's done, man. Check this out. It looks fantastic. Fuel filter down there. Fuel rail, return line to the fuel pressure regulator. Oh man, it looks good. And for the vacuum line, I just teed into the same line that feeds the boost gauge and feeds the map sensor for the computer. So everything is good with that. I got this 45-degree elbow as an extra part too, just in case I could use it somehow. Dudes and dudettes, it is all completely installed. Before we try to fire it up, there's a couple things. One, I already disconnected the fuel pump, and now we actually need to hook up to the Haltech computer and change the injector size. Reach into my handy dandy glove box. Got the USB cable that runs straight to the Haltech ECU. So I'm gonna hook up and yeah, let's change that value. All right, under fuel, we wanna go to injector flow rate. Currently there's a value of 440. Change it to 800 and go up and click save. And we should be good to go. With it all saved, now we're good to turn it off. That way there's a power cycle on the ECU. Reconnect the fuel pump, take some time to look around at every single one of our connections, and she should fire right up, man. Let's go ahead and charge the fuel system. Everything looks amazing right here at the tank. We have a registered pressure in the rail. Oh, snap. Let's fire it up, man. Yeah. All right, so it's at idle. Let's see what our fuel pressure's at. It's at 70 pounds. Okay, so need to make an adjustment to the fuel pressure regulator, get that down to 45, and then we'll be rocking and rolling, man. We're at a nice steady 45 pounds of fuel pressure. In order to adjust the fuel pressure, loosen this locking nut that's right here, and then you turn this upper shaft, and you can just see it directly changing fuel pressure. So I need to really look around. I don't smell any fuel, but I'm gonna look around at every single connection, make sure everything's okay, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, I've looked over the entire car. Everything is super good to go, man. Looked at the ECU, everything's good. Turned the car off, turned it back on. Made sure that the ECU saved our configuration. It did. It's at 800 cc's. I'm excited, man. Let me get this thing off the jack stands, on the ground, and let's go for a little drive. Oh man, it feels like dang near forever since I've been in this thing. Golly, I'm so excited to get it going again and start enjoying it. We definitely need to get some gas, that's for sure. Let me get off of my ramps. And let's get out into the driveway. Now, it's not just as easy as changing an injector value like I did. I mean, it is and it isn't, right? I still need to get a tune. That's for sure. And the car just stalled. Alright, it's running now. It is very low on fuel. In fact, my low fuel light just came on. So, yeah. I'm going to do a little gentle cruise just kind of around the neighborhood. And then, once we got some bugs worked out, we'll kind of go from there, man. Well, I didn't get very far, and it's quite a lot darker outside now because some time has passed. If you're one of those people that's been yelling at the TV all this time, or TV, who watches YouTube on TV? If you're one of those people that have been yelling at the monitor or your phone all this time saying, dude, you're forgetting the lag times on the injectors. Garage mechanic, guilty as charged. Definitely forgot the lag time. So there's a thing, okay? So let me show you my Haltech computer and help you understand now what I understand. Looking here, we had a couple things. We had the injector flow rate, which is the one thing we changed to 800. We also have injector dead time. That is like a latency. This is a measurement of milliseconds. These values are for the stock injectors. So what we have to do is we actually have to change this value here. Going to the Deutschwerks website, I now have the fuel injector technical data. All right, looking at the type of driver, I'm a type B because I'm using a Haltech. So I want to use this map here to change the battery offset. I'm going to input this data right here, and then we should be good to go, because guess what, man? Because this thing was stalling out like really bad. It was stalling out a lot. So I think we're gonna be good now. But I'm learning, and hopefully you're learning, because that's what this is all about. All right, car doesn't even want to start with those new values now. I can throttle start it, but it just dies immediately. So I'm gonna try the driver type A, see what happens, and then, yeah, see where we can go from there. So it is much later now. I got her running, and I got her running well, man. As you can see, she's idling really well. A little bit choky from time to time, but overall doing really well, man. Those numbers that Deutschwerks provides, I tried those numbers a couple different times in a couple different ways, and I tried looking on the internet. I found the same thing everywhere. The numbers that Deutschwerks provides are bad. Yeah, that is the case. I actually went and I looked at the original map tune that Custom Import Arts gave us, and I looked at the values that he had in there, and they were actually higher than the original stock 440cc injectors. So I put those numbers in there, and it fired right up and it started running. It was still a little hesitant, so all I did was I shifted all those values to the right one, and now it's running great. I just went out, it's freaking boosting like a champ, still at like 9.5 pounds. So I've talked about cams, I've talked about turbos, but the truth of the matter is, guys, is that it's time to enjoy the car for a little bit. That's what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna enjoy the car for a little bit. I'm gonna improve on a couple things here and there. Probably try and actually get it legit tuned here locally. I just want to find a place that I trust, and yeah. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna get one of my kids to come with me, and we're gonna go do some runs real quick. I got Mrs. BC with me. She's gonna man the camera. We're gonna go around the block real quick, and just so you guys can see it. But again, some fun is gonna be coming soon, all right? Just went and got gas. Car's running good. It's not running, I mean, it's not running perfect yet, obviously. It really does need, you know, tuning specific to, you know, the modifications that it's had, but just enough to get around, drive around day to day, do what I want. Every once in a while it chokes a little bit, but otherwise it's good. This dude's lights are on. Oh. Yep. Better hurry. Getting out of this guy's way. Doing it by ear, so all right, here we go. I know this thing's capable of more, but right now it's feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty good. Good news is, got a car again.
Yay!
Got to see it. And like I said, you know, we're gonna do a couple things here and there. We've also got that guy that's gonna be coming by, so we can work on his timing belt and give him 120K service. Got a couple things interior, like I want to get my stereo system squared away, and some other things inside the car, you know, just creature feature stuff. But for the time being, guys, let's enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy the boost. We are now at 451 miles since we dropped this engine in. It's time for an oil change. And once I change that oil and I get some fresh stuff in there, then we're gonna up the boost a little bit. You might ask, why did I put 800cc injectors in? It's just because it's all planning for the future, right? So I'm not trying to use stock turbos and make 800cc's do the work for me, but they'll come in handy later down the road. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna turn around. I got one more boost in me, and then I'm back to the house. So I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao a tutti, and aloha. Bye-bye. I broke my own golden rule. Don't do too much at one time. Don't introduce too many gremlins. Work them out piece by piece. And what you saw was me putting an entire fuel system in, 800cc injectors, computer stuff, and a drive that was so satisfying. But the next morning, the car didn't start. And the car wouldn't start. And no matter what I did, it was running so rich, it was actually blowing fuel into the exhaust. It was coming out of the exhaust. It was a problem. So I have since put all the stock injectors back in. Whole fuel system upgrade, but we're back on stock injectors. The program that we were running before is back in there, and it is running freaking phenomenal. So, step by step, ooh baby, just like the new kids on the block used to say, we're gonna work this out piece by piece. And you know what? We're gonna hold on to these 800cc injectors until we have a lot of other mods that are gonna complement them very, very well. But in the meantime, I'm very happy with the way she's going, and we are now way safer with the fuel away from the exhaust side. I can't remember who it was, but they said you learn more through your mistakes than your successes. And I think that's true, man. You learn way, way more through 100 failures than one success. I've definitely learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot. Breaking my own golden rule, man. Anyway, I've been dealing with fuel way too much. I got kind of a headache, and I'm done.